Hello, fellow Earthlings, and welcome to Deep Dive from the Hive, where we discuss modern-day musician life, answering the call to create, and what it takes to actually produce what you believe in. I'm your host, Marv Ellis, the captain of this submarine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, so let's batten down the hatches and get to it. Let's go. Check, check, 1, 2. Yes. This is real. This is live. Yeah. This is real life. This is happening. This is an experience I've been waiting for a minute.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is the Deep Dive from the Hive with yours truly. As always, we have Trevor in the back. Trevor, what's up, man? Holding it down. We are at the Hive, 2 V's. We have a very, very special guest, somebody I've been really excited about having here to do this very thing with, who actually encouraged me to do a podcast multiple years ago. And I was like,
"This is the truth?"
I don't know, man. But somehow I wound up here, and so it's only fitting and natural that I have my longtime friend and prolific Northwest legend, singer, songwriter, do-it-all, music teacher, plays every instrument on earth, amazing, crazy, get the party poppin', front porch jam master, the one and only Unkle Nancy is in the building, a.k.a. Joey Helpish, Joey Stewart. I don't even know what to call you anymore. I just call you Nance.
Yeah, Nance works.
Yeah. Welcome, my man.
Hi, buddy.
It's good to have you here.
That beat is, the intro beat is,
yeah.
As the kids used to say, oogalicious.
It is oogs.
Yeah.
It's oogs. It has flav. I have the guitar unmuted now. Better?
We're good? Yeah.
So we only really, you came down last night.
Yeah. From Eugene.
From Eugene, where you're living. And we sat down and we just started playing.
That's true.
Started playing music, and it reminded me so many different things about my relationship with not only music, but my relationship with my people I came up with.
Yeah.
And you're one of those people. And I was on the porch singing.
Yeah.
I was playing I even brought my kazoos. You reminded me all these little things about music, and it was so cool to look up and see Emily watching me do it. She's never seen me do any of that shit, man.
It's music as a language.
She doesn't know that these songs we have, and that I get down like that, and I'll sing rock songs with you. It was cool to show her a little bit, and that's just what your effect is. I was trying to absorb your effect, the effect you have on people, and because you're a fascinating person.
Thanks.
And that's why I was excited to introduce you to Trevor and to the people who listen to this podcast. By the way, like, subscribe, share. But so I want to start with right now.
Yeah.
What you're doing. You're literally right now. You're a teacher. You built a school, right?
Yeah. Built a school with Kirsten, with Lady Helpish.
Yes.
And 4 years deep into it now.
You teach mostly autistic students of all ages.
Yeah. Mostly autistic. All of them are neurodivergent, so ADHD or some they're atypical.
And you teach them how to make music and express themselves using modern technology, aka via iPad.
Mostly iPads, yeah.
iPhones, but and apps.
Yeah, big on the app thing.
So let's just start there, because you've been in the school, just getting your students teaching, coming in, and then you came down here for the first time since I moved down here.
Yes.
To visit. And so tell me about this school that you left for a few days to come do this podcast.
So we started in Portland. Let me just try to do the quick how this thing happened. I had a whole life. I was in a whole different position 6 years ago. I'd retired from doing Unkle Nancy and the Family Jewels and touring and live performing almost 10 years ago. And I was just kind of had a simple life, and I had some foster kids and some step kids, and then literally overnight everything just ended, and I had to decide where I was going to go. Decided to go back to Portland. Mutual friend of ours, Keegan Smith, and I started talking about, because what had happened when I was on the coast with all the kids, I homeschooled everybody. And I started teaching them music, and I started coming up with these ways of getting them to learn via creativity. And I wanted to continue that, and maybe on a bigger level, when I moved to Portland. And so Keegan and I talked about maybe starting something together. After about a week before we had a show together, he was like, he just came clean. He's like, I just don't think it's a good idea for me to start this with you. And I understood and I appreciated the self-awareness. He said, but I have somebody that I want you to meet that I think you're supposed to start this business, this school with. And her name was Kirsten Muir.
Kirsten, who's in the building?
Who's in the building, yeah. So we started building, within like a few weeks, we did an event together and brought all kinds of different creatives together. And then we started thinking about, I started teaching just private music lessons, and we started thinking about what that could grow into, and kind of accidentally fell in love 4 months later. She came over and hasn't left yet. And so we started building about, 5 months in, building what would be Dandyland.
Which is what you call the school, Dandyland Studios.
And that's just also our home. That's just where we live.
So your home is your studio, is your job, is your dream, is your woman's passion too. Yeah. So it's all in one thing.
It's all just one thing. Yeah.
Very
Dandyland
similar.
is home and life. And Dandyland actually comes from the album that I'd finished right before moving to Portland, with my sister and a couple of friends, called Dandelion Eyes. It's what my grandma called me when I was a kid. I had this weird pigment thing where my eyes look like sunflowers or dandelions, and they're blue in the background. So Dandelion Eyes was this album I wrote for grandma after she passed away to kind of translate the teachings that she taught me into song. And it was the first thing I gave Kirsten. And if you ask Kirsten, she will tell you that is the reason why she wanted to build something with me, was that album and those songs. And originally we were going to call the school Dandelion Eyes, and then it just became, we started saying things like the land of dandies. We call our students dandies.
Okay.
So there's a few things that evolved. It started with just teaching, but then it became more coaching, more mentoring. And then Kirsten and I invented a way of looking at music theory completely differently. It's called emotional music theory, or root motives. And we use that to not only teach people how to play music, but to write music for people, to translate people's thoughts and feelings into music. And what started off as purely educational, like I'm going to be an educator.
Right.
A teacher is just part of what I do, because the way I look at music completely is it's a form of therapy. So when I teach people music, I'm teaching people how to kind of do therapy for themselves, because that's what music is to me. It's therapy. It's what has kept me grounded and sane and able to express myself.
And that's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not that's not the average job, right?
No. I had to make, the job that fits me didn't exist.
So you made it.
So I had to make it.
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
A musical trailblazer.
That's the thing.
Book it. Facts.
Yeah.
So let's go back to when you started now, because that's where you are now.
Yeah. That's almost 40 years into being a human. That's
right.
where I am now. Yeah.
So now the coast.
Yeah.
Newport.
Yeah.
Newport.
I was born in Eugene.
Okay.
And moved to Newport. I actually moved to Depot Bay, a little bit north, but moved to the Oregon coast when I was 3.5.
Okay. Dark, rainy.
Extremely. Yeah.
Fishermen, loggers.
Yeah. That was my family, mostly fishermen.
Okay.
Fishermen and retail. That's the three things, right? Logging, fishing, and tourism.
Large family?
Extremely. That's why we moved to the coast. I gained a stepfather when I was 3.5.
What were you saying about your dad, though, earlier?
Which part?
You were saying that your dad spawned.
So that was my biological father.
Okay, your biological father.
He bailed by the time I was 4.
Okay.
And then he did that to another woman and another woman and another woman. And I have 17 siblings.
You have 17 siblings.
Yeah. Met 2. Well, I grew up with 1. Well, grew up with 2. One's a half sister. But I met the other siblings. I met 3 of them, I think.
How's your mom?
I haven't talked to her.
Really?
Yeah, a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked your mom.
Yeah, a lot of people did. Yeah, we haven't talked in a while.
Okay.
There's a lot of abuse there.
Oh, okay.
And
Mix that in with the Newport flavors of just the culture.
Yeah, I grew up in. So on coast towns, there's very well off people.
Yeah.
And there's the polar opposite. Not much in between. We were the polar opposite. I was always the second poorest kid in my group.
Okay.
So we weren't completely destitute, but we needed help and we needed assistance often.
Okay.
And when I was very young, it was pretty obvious that I needed to music.
You did the music?
Yeah. So like I would, if there was an organ, like I'm talking 3-4 years old, if there was an organ, I'd go turn it on and I would go make noise. When I was 5, my dad, I want to say my dad, usually mean my stepdad. My dad bought me a tabletop tape deck. Do you remember these things?
Yeah.
Remember I used to perform with these things?
I think so.
So
You've done so much.
When Unkle Nancy started, it was like a one-man show, and I had all these tapes that I would sample and scratch on these tabletop tape decks. The first one I ever got, I was like 5 or 6, and my dad later told me that he came into my room after the first day that I got it, and I was in there. I had the play button down and the pause button down, and I was lifting up slowly to get this. And I was at 5 years old manipulating tape and trying to make it do different things.
You're always doing weird shit, man.
Always, yeah.
And that's what makes it so hard to explain to you. Like, it was really hard for me to explain to Trevor what you're like.
Yeah,
it was like
the whole universe.
And then the best way for me to explain it to him was send him the video of us jamming on the porch yesterday.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show you're a traditional musician, you're experimental, you're multi-genre. Is that a word?
Yes.
I don't know.
It is now.
You've traveled. I tell people, it's like, speaking of legend, I'm like, Unkle Nancy, he's made an album in every genre that exists.
Yeah, just about.
He's been wearing pajamas for 20 straight years.
Yeah, more like 30.
30 years.
So that was the thing I discovered when I was a tween. And that was the first time that my grandmother ever enabled me. She bought me cool looking pajama pants to wear in public during the day at school, because it was more comfortable, because I wasn't diagnosed until my mid-20s, but I'm autistic. And so I was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't fit in at all whatsoever. I had a real hard time understanding other people's feelings and emotions. Music was the bridge. Music was the thing that helped me through that and helped me like understand how other people felt and then express it. I can understand how people feel, but understanding how somebody else feels, going through it, and then understanding that and then expressing is really difficult for me unless I have an instrument in my hand.
So the instrument's been the savior, like being able to music.
Yeah, because there was no other way. And before I was 14 is when it was like, there's nothing left but music.
And you're playing the organ in church.
So I started, probably around 9 or 10. I had a mentor who's the chief of the Sluts Indian tribe.
Okay.
Chief Joseph Depot. And he taught me how to dance, taught me how to play drums, taught me how to sing, and taught me how to play the organ. And then he was very old and he passed away a couple of years later, and I took his place because I was big enough. I was 5'11".
His name was Chief Joe Depot?
Yeah.
His name was Chief Joe Depot.
Chief Joe Depot.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the church, I started getting hand-me-downs of gear, of like tape recorders, and I got an old board. And then I lived right down the street from a flea market.
Okay.
And so I'd go like fillet fish or do yard work, and I would buy this old gear. My room smelled like an old lady's basement.
It did. It always has.
It always. That's my perfume. This essence of old lady basement.
The Unkle Nancy.
Yeah.
The Unkle Nancy. Anyway.
Unkle Nancy smells like grandma's basement. Okay, so so that was, and then I borrowed instruments from people. I don't think I've ever told you this, but
No.
when I was in 3rd grade,
Okay.
my neighbor started piano lessons. And we were poor. I would wait for him every single Wednesday at 6:30 when he got home from the piano lesson and be like, "What'd you learn today?"
You would steal
Yes.
what he learned.
And then they were very well off. We were not at all. Like the idea of me ever owning a new instrument was so
Yeah.
far away. So I started making them when I was
Okay.
My first guitar was a box. It was basically a banjo. It was a box with a piece of plywood, badly cut. I didn't.
Yeah.
At this point, my stepdad was just a complete drunk and utterly useless. He's sober now. He's doing good. But
God bless him.
yeah. So I made my first song I ever wrote when I was about 9.
Are you gonna play that?
Yep.
It's your first song you ever wrote.
Yep.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
And it was just a 2-string instrument that I made on my own.
Like a washboard, boom, boom, or the box.
Yeah, it's the box
Okay,
with
I'm with you.
with a weed eater line.
Okay.
And I figured out how to do this with the 2 strings. So I just went, there we go. Let's get him in. I'm a hick, hood, hood. That's it.
Okay.
That's the first thing
Fantastic.
I can remember that I actually like played over and over and over. I think that there was like probably like things like, I'm just a hick, here's I. But I don't remember any of it. All I remember is being in like 3rd grade and being like, I'm a hick, hood.
3rd grade.
Yeah.
You were. You weren't playing sports. You were.
No, so I have 2 kinds of arthritis.
Okay.
Been disabled pretty much my whole life. But when I was 10 to 11, sports just wasn't on the table anymore. And then I tried to do it anyway in middle school and really hurt myself. One dude came under my knee, one dude came over my knee. Just kind of a.
So you're in the coast.
Yeah.
You've got. You're debilitated.
Yep.
You're not so, and then you're around abusive family life slightly.
Yes, extremely.
Right, and alcoholic.
Cops called every week.
You're in the rain of the coast, the darkness, surrounded by a culture that drinks heavily.
Extremely, yeah, and also a culture of what I call stupid and proud. So
what do you do? You build instruments and you start writing songs.
Yeah,
and escape that way. What instrument? Tell me about band. You in school, you went into band, right?
Yeah. So in middle school, they wouldn't let me start drums.
Okay.
They said you have to play trumpet.
Why is it always trumpet?
I don't know. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Everybody's like,
it's really lame. Because everyone should start with drums.
Yeah, rhythm.
Get some rhythm.
Get the rhythm.
And
then you get the rhyme.
Yeah. So what I do with my students, if they're like, I want to play ukulele, I want to play this, I'm like, okay. And then we start, and then within a few weeks or a month, I'm teaching them drums, because unless they have rhythm already, they probably grew up in a family full of music.
Okay.
I did not grow up in a family full of music, but I grew up in a church. My family weren't Christians at the time at all. But I was, and that was my choice.
It honestly feels like a religious experience. Some of the jams you and I have had in the past. It does not feel like I'm in a jam. It feels like I'm at church.
Yeah.
And we're getting down to this.
That's the kind of music. So we did like traditional hymns and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when they passed the offering around, it was improv every time. It was me as a drummer who actually ended up becoming my foster father for a while. And my sister Tiffany, that's his dad.
Tiff.
That's his dad.
Okay.
Oh, that's her dad.
How's Tiffany?
Fantastic. She has 70,000 kids.
This is your camera. You can say hi to me right now.
Hi, Tiff. Hi,
Tiff.
babies. Hi, new baby.
It's on you right now.
Yeah.
New baby?
Brand new baby, 4th.
Congratulations, Tiffany.
So I met Tiff when she was like 3 years old.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, I got, it wasn't safe for me to be home anymore.
Why?
Violence. And gaslighting.
That's
and
awesome.
Abuse. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was not
sorry, man.
that. But he was the drummer in my church band. And the drummer in my very first actual band, which was a Christian rock band called The Husbandmen.
Oh, please. I cannot wait to go over your band names throughout the years.
Yeah.
So you got the Christian what?
The Husbandmen.
The Husbandmen.
Yeah, we never really played any shows or anything, but we got together every week.
Okay.
And I learned the blues scale from Tom. I learned just so much from him.
Mm.
What was cool is that album Dandelion Eyes was me and his daughter and another kid that he turned on to music that we call Spud, who played banjo on the album. It was a cool moment to like, hey, here's 3 kids that you taught music, and we just made an album.
That's dope.
All about hope and stuff. Yeah. So where were we?
We were talking about middle school and band and the bass.
So here's how I got to play drums.
Okay.
There was this kid named Jeff,
Okay.
and he was one of my bullies. And I bent my trumpet over his head, and I played drums then because my teacher was like, apparently you need to hit stuff.
Okay.
That's real life. I got a lot of trouble.
Bent your trumpet over the
his
bully's
head.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't put up with bullies ever.
You don't put up with shit. I
do
noticed that
not.
about you.
I do not. Most of that's because of Grandma.
Okay.
Grandma did not put up with anything.
Love
at all.
your grandma, man.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She's so cool.
And
cool.
yeah,
God rest her.
and so that's how I started drums, and then I was able to take home a snare drum. I built the rest of the kit out of stuff.
Okay.
And I started in middle school. There was a lot of recording stuff using that old gear from the church.
Okay.
And then I got my first job, my first actual job. I worked my whole life because it's the only way I could get stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I got a Sega Genesis, Flames and Fish and stuff.
Yeah.
And comic books. I was a big comic book nerd when I was young. And so my first paycheck, I bought a Tascam 4-track. Yes. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So if you don't know what a Tascam 4-track is,
You can record yourself. And
that was not a thing.
But back then, man,
yeah. You can record yourself, over yourself. Overdub. But what I started doing was I would record all the parts on a tape and then dub it in through my old tape deck from the church.
Can you pull up a Tascam 4-track recorder
please.
so we can show these people at home that have apps now to record on their phone?
The original iPad was
the kind of shit that we had to do just to record our ideas.
It was a whole summer paycheck. It was hundreds of dollars.
Biggest deal.
It was a giant deal.
Oh my god.
And I had a Casio keyboard.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. Did you have the pantyhose on a coat hanger for your popper stopper?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
The first song I ever recorded with you was that. Remember that? In the East.
Oh yeah.
We were in college.
Yep.
And I had a Radio Shack mic.
You did.
With some pantyhose over.
And you had a shotgun glass pipe.
Yeah.
And we smoked some resin.
Yeah.
And then I wrote my rap in 45 minutes.
That's true.
That was a great song.
It was good.
But let's go back to middle school and the drums and the Tascam.
Yeah.
And you bought the Tascam.
That was 8th grade.
8th grade? You bought a Tascam in 8th grade?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so that summer, I was just locked in a room making beats, making stuff. Oh, and I did the second thing I got with my second
8th grade.
paycheck between 8th and 9th grade was a Digitech, it was a Zoom multi-effects vocal processor.
Oh.
So, and then I had this old board. Yeah, you got to find that old vocal processor.
They're so old you can't even
They're
find them on
so
Google.
Old, yeah.
Is that what's going on, Trev?
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I got it figured out here.
You got it.
Yeah.
Trev's the fucking man, dude.
So that was my first studio and that's the studio I had all the way through most of high school.
Okay.
And that's
there we go.
That's the baby.
Damn, look at that thing.
I
So
did a
what
lot
people
of
don't
things.
know, explain to how you make this thing work real quick for people who don't.
Okay, so you have the 4 inputs on the top, so you can record up to 4 things at a time. It has 4 tracks. Here's how a tape deck works, right? With recording like this. The trick that they're doing is that you have stereo left and right on each side of the tape.
Mm-hmm.
So what this handy little machine does is record both sides of the tape
At the same time.
to get you 4 tracks.
And couldn't you
Yes, you could.
overdub
Yep.
track 1 onto the one of the slots
Yes.
on track 2 and free up track 1.
Yeah.
So that was the move, is to record it, bounce it
You
down.
do 3 and then 4, and then you would do 3 again. Or you do 1 and 2 and 4 and mix it to 3, and then you do 1 and 3 and 4 and mix it to 2. That's what I do. But the problem is that
Thanks, Trev.
it would get there'd be a lot of floor noise. So the more you did that, the more just showed up over the whole thing. So if you did like the kind of stuff that I do now, which is I'm using 40, 50 tracks, you wouldn't have been able to hear it.
Still with you.
Cool.
Just adjusting this thing here. So
So that
your
was middle
8th grade,
school.
you got yourself a home recording guerrilla studio, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then where does this band thing? Because we talked a little bit about band.
Yeah.
And you're not in high school yet. You're still in middle school.
Still in middle school.
I was not doing this when I was in middle school.
No, you
I'm
were
telling
not.
you.
The other
You're a
thing-
legend, bro. Keep telling me what happened.
Thanks. Can you turn my mic up a little
Yes, sir.
bit so I don't have to get all up in there? There we go. I also was super into computers. So at the same time,
Okay.
I remember making beats with a TRS-80 color plugged into an old monitor. And the thing about the TRS-80 color is it was the first computer in like the early 80s that you could program to speak. So I would make
Like
it
Michael Scott. Bobs.
Yeah, it would,
Okay.
that's what I would do, but it would be like bows. Did
Did you ever do that, Trevor?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea what that computer is, but I believe you both
It's
did.
a Radio Shack.
Oh, okay.
They're the Radio Shack computers from the early 80s.
don't even know
I was buddy in 3rd grade. Mr. Touchstone and I were like fellow nerds. He was probably on the autism spectrum, honestly.
Okay.
And it was me and a couple other probably Aspies who were
What's an Aspie?
that's short. It's a term of endearment for people with Asperger's syndrome.
Okay,
to
I
other
don't know
people.
the slang endearment terms.
So we don't use it very much because more information came out about Hans Asperger, who was an actual Nazi. And so that label doesn't feel as comfortable anymore. The problem with that is that Aspies, which just means like high functioning autism, even though most of us don't like functioning labels because that's ridiculous. I'm not high functioning. So Aspie is just, this is what we call each other. And it's hard for autistic people to change their habits. So they're not going to stop saying, I'm going to say Aspie probably till I die. Even though it's got weirdness attached to it and some horribleness. Anyway, he would give me their old computers from the computer lab.
In 8th grade.
No, this is starting in 3rd grade. I collected them.
Okay.
Yeah. So by what I'm saying is by 8th grade, my room was full. It was grandma's basement. I'm serious. Wow. My first guitar amp. Okay. Same time, by the way. I'm 14. So it's summer between 8th and 9th grade.
Yeah.
I go visit grandma and she was living in Arizona at the time. And I went over to my friend's house every day because they had a guitar, an electric guitar. I'd never played an electric guitar before that summer. I always borrowed, this I was talking about earlier, like my neighbor who took the piano lessons, he had tons of instruments. I borrowed a different one every week and recorded it on the Tascam. So I'd be like, I'm going to lay down a bunch of bass lines. I laid down a bunch of bass lines because I borrowed the bass.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I learned how to do batch editing that way because I could only have one instrument and I got to play all the bass lines and all the songs of the album. And then I'd go get another instrument. So this guitar, which was a Gibson copy called a Lyle. I loved it.
A Lyle?
A Lyle.
Lyle.
So they're cheap guitars, but it was
Lyle, love it.
It was a really good SG copy. And so had a brace, it's just beautiful. And a couple months later, my mom went to visit her and she came back with that guitar. My grandma had bought it from her neighbor, my friend.
Okay.
So that changed everything. The electric guitar changed.
That was the thing.
That was
all the instruments, the Tascams. You're just dinking and dunking until you found the guitar.
Yeah, basically. Kind of. I mean, I still use all those other skills, but
ooh,
there it is.
There it is, the Lyle. Behold. Yeah,
so
the second moment.
Yeah, it really was.
Was it?
It really was because I learned the blues scale and it was just over from there.
Show me that scale.
Okay, and here's a little story
Tell
that
me.
I don't think I've ever told you. When I teach lessons, I teach this scale. And whenever people start, they always say, I feel like a baby. I'm like, let me tell you how you go from baby to BB. I met BB King. I played music with him when I was 15 or 16, at the casino in Newport.
Okay.
A friend of mine who I played guitar with, his dad was the lighting guy at the casino, Chinook Winds.
So you had the ends.
We went to jam, and I still can't believe I said to BB King, so the chords are A7 and D7. Do you know those chords?
You said that to BB King?
I said that to BB King.
Are you kidding me?
But here's the best part.
What did he
you
say?
know what BB King said?
I don't know.
I don't know no chords.
Okay.
I don't know no chords. He said,
Fact.
He said, I just do the bends, the wiggles, and the slides.
Show me those.
Bends, wiggles, and the slides. And then I figured out hammers. So that's how you go from baby to BB. He's playing the same stuff. He's just playing this. Except he's going. See that slide?
Yeah.
Wiggle. Bend.
Which one do you prefer, the slide, the wiggle, or the bend?
I wiggle everything.
You wiggle everything?
I do.
Do it again. Krishna, does he wiggle everything? Hey! I'll be here all night. So
anyway.
shit, that was
guitar.
a moment.
Yeah.
Guitar, BB King, jamming with him, showed
Yeah.
you the slide, the wiggles, the grooves. You're 15, you're in high school, but then guitar, but then how did you wind up on bass with the band?
Yeah. So in high school, first I have to explain just a little bit. This is the sound for a minute. Just a little bit about what happened from middle school to high school, because I failed middle school. I got F's in everything. And there was my drama teacher. So when I got diagnosed with autism, it really shined a big light on what happened to me. And what happened to me that saved me was obviously music, but theater. It was a place where I could learn how to mask and pretend. And that is why so many people, when I tell them I'm autistic, unless they've actually hung out with me and seen all my weird idiosyncrasies and stuff, or see me rock back and forth. And the reason why I'm passing is because I was in theater very young. I started 5th grade, and that taught me how to blend. Masking is a thing that autistic people do that is mimicry, so that we look like we are normal. Or we don't do things like stems and that kind of thing, which is very dangerous for autistic people.
Stems are the shakings and the
Stem,
the quick pops.
STEM is short for self-stimulation.
Okay.
So when I'm doing this,
Yeah.
that is a way that I am regulating my feelings and my emotions. Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
When did you get diagnosed with autism?
I don't remember the age. It was after 25. I think it was like 26 or 27. But that was the official diagnosis. It started in high school. People started saying the A word when I was about 16.
Okay.
And I never got an official diagnosis till I was in my 20s.
Okay. Because I remember when I was in my 20s and you were in your 20s,
Yeah.
I was always like, he's different.
Yep.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's slightly different. Not sure what it is.
Yeah, very slightly.
Huh.
A lot slightly.
Yeah. But it makes sense now in hindsight. And you've
being
masked
diagnosed-
well. You've masked well, because I never thought, oh, that guy's
Yeah.
those stems are crazy.
The problem is, though, is that I went through massive times where I was burnt out and I had my life collapsed.
Yeah.
That's from too much masking.
Too much mask.
Yeah. That's from not allowing myself to just be autistic. Now, like, I just went through a bit of autistic burnout, bit of some meltdown stuff. It was very almost peaceful. it's almost hard to quantify what has happened, which is just complete acceptance. I have a really accepting partner. And I don't pretend I'm not autistic anymore. I did when I was younger. So between, in 8th grade is when people started asking or implying if I was on drugs, and I just let them believe it. I've never done drugs in my life. Marijuana, yeah, sure, but never done hard drugs. Throughout most of high school, people assumed I was on drugs.
How many people walk around pretending?
Lots.
What percentage of people do you think pretend they're not scared, pretend they're not nervous, pretend they
masking?
don't like masking? How many?
Yeah.
How much of the U.S. population?
Most of us.
I mask, and I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, fuck, dude, I mask so much.
So this is
I
why
mask my nerves. I mask.
Yeah, so I've been more open about autism. What I love about talking about autism and discovering it is to study autism is to study humanity. Because remember that song, More Human? Actually, let's see if I can do.
Play it.
More human than human, more human than human, more human. Rob Zombie, White Zombie?
I think it was Red Zombie. Red Zombie.
Right?
Right.
So that song, More Human Than Human, that's what I feel autism is.
Okay.
Is that these are uniquely human conditions and traits that are amplified.
Superpowers.
Yeah, because pattern recognition is our thing, right?
Yeah.
And that is autism. That pattern
recognition.
Pattern recognition. That's what most autistic people have the up on neurotypicals is our ability to focus in and see the patterns and get to work and get things going.
I see the pattern in you.
Thanks. So high school was a big deal because Deborah Zirin Brown, Debo. She was my drama teacher.
At Performing Arts Center.
That too, but I went to Taft Middle School.
Okay.
She was the teacher. I was what you would call a troubled kid. Looking back, I was just an autistic kid.
Yeah.
That needed support, that needed to not be put in these neurotypical social situations that are detrimental for me. Or things like I always blew up if anything was out of the ordinary towards me during an assembly, and I would run. My principal chased after me several times. This is the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. There's so many of us who were autistic that it's so clear that we're autistic to look back. But at the time, they just didn't know enough. There just wasn't enough. We're discovering a lot about neurodiversity and different makeups of brains. So Debo lobbied for me. She said, do not hold this kid back. He's brilliant. This is a terrible situation, and don't let him go to Taft High School. He's going to become a drug addict. She told me this later, like really, and she was afraid that I had DID. She knew I had a really broken home, and I was starting to cross the line from putting on acts to like, is there multiple personalities?
Yeah.
I later would play with that with like Unkle Nancy and Lonesome and like these different aspects.
You've had these different identities.
Yeah. And I like to play with that. And I think in a way I think it is related to, I do not have DID, but I understand it more than most conditions.
Clarify that for those that don't understand what DID is.
I don't remember what it's dissociative identity disorder. There's multiple personality disorders, what we used to call it. And the brain creates actual personalities, just as real as you are.
Like identities, news identity, social identities.
And fragments into different things. And so, but it's on a whole level that I really couldn't explain it very well, and I won't try to because I just haven't had enough experience or learned enough. So she was afraid that I was going to fall in the cracks, and she was absolutely right to be. I would have become a meth head. Because I know that because that's what happened to everyone like me who didn't have somebody to jump in. So she lobbied to not only get me to not fail, but to go to a different school an hour away, which is Toledo High.
Toledo.
Which had what I learned later, this is all fair family, What I learned later is that all the teachers that she knew that were country fair family and had that kind of like hippie counterculture connection with, those are who she sent me to. She sent me to the hippies. So that, because I think she just didn't know what to do and she just didn't want to just sit back and watch me. I ended up touring with her then husband, now ex-husband, and son in the Family Jewels for years. And so, but how it started was just her stepping in and getting this guy, Bill Stifler, to pick me up and take me.
Stifler?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
His name was Stifler?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Can we get a picture of whatever Stifler comes up when you type that into Google?
So
just
then
joking.
when in high school, I started my freshman year at Toledo High School. By the end of the year, was the band captain.
Okay, you're the band captain. Here we go.
Yeah.
Unkle Nancy's born.
Playing drums, but playing bass. The upright bass was my first, the first instrument I performed with.
Okay.
As soon as I got behind that thing, I was home.
Felt good.
And bass was, I was still playing guitar, but bass was my instrument clear into my 20s.
So you're saying, because you said it last night when you touched
Yeah.
the upright at our house, you
Yeah.
said, this is my first instrument. Even though it wasn't.
It wasn't, but it was the first.
It wasn't the Lyle.
Yeah.
It wasn't the homemade
It's
stuff.
like, here's the thing. Like, there's a first person that you had sex with and a first person that you fell in love with.
Got you.
Facts,
man.
Right. The Casio keyboard took my virginity.
Yeah.
But the bass
Really made sweet love to you.
Well, what it was is I understood music
Looked you in
theory.
the eyes.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Kissed me on my neck, just leaned over.
But didn't do it too much and tickle you too
Yeah.
much.
So, but not only was I the captain of the pep band, right?
Okay, good.
By the end of my freshman year, I also was the star in the first two plays that they put on. By the third play that year, I did sound effects and music composing, and that was a kind of a star kid.
So she made a good call.
She did.
And her daughter, by the way, side note, is
Lady Rizzo.
Lady Rizzo,
Yes.
who is a very well-known Broadway.
So you want to talk about first love? That's the first human I ever met that I was like, I will do anything for you. Just let me.
You just went full Meatloaf.
Yeah. So
I will do anything for love.
So she also took me under her wing a little bit around
Okay.
the same time because I did theater camp. And
Can you pull Lady Rizzo up?
Oh, please do.
Rizza.
And so she's like just in college, right? I'm in high school, and we go. We had to go get some groceries, or we had to get something for the camp, for the kids. It's my first year as a counselor, right, at the drama camp. We're walking into Fred Meyer, and some older lady, just like in her car, just kind of cuts us off a little bit, and she just kicks that car, and it just screams at the top of her lungs. It's like, F you, lady. And then boom, switch just goes back in. That's how she performs.
Really?
Yeah. But at that moment I was just like,
how do you spell it so we can pull her up? Because
Rizzo.
The family you speak of, the Daddy-O,
Yeah.
Ethan, the Lady Rizzo.
Yeah, that family saved my life.
They're like very large advocates of drama and theater and
big part of the coast.
in Newport, big performing arts center, the PAC.
Because like we mentioned before,
Drama camps during the summer.
it's
right?
it's a gloomy place.
There she is.
It's a gloomy place.
This is her daughter, the lady that
saved my life.
saved his life's daughter is this lady, and she's in New York, just completely destroying it. She sang on Moby's album.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's awesome. So shout out to the one and only Rizzo.
And another fun fact, Unkle Nancy, the character, is very much inspired by that woman.
Yeah.
The I don't give a shit attitude. The I'm in charge and I am the master and you will obey me.
Yeah.
As soon as she gets on stage,
I don't know why I was calling
charge.
her Riza. I was thinking of Rizza from Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
But it's Rizzo or Lizzo.
I was also the youngest honor thespian in Oregon.
Youngest honor thespian?
Yeah. I did all of the things that you're required to do within the first year. Which like people didn't do. Other thing, writing festival winner from second grade until fifth grade. I was
Okay.
I was the top creative writing kid or whatever in Oregon. I went to Portland every year to compete. I met Stephen King.
What?
Yeah.
So you jammed with BB King.
Yeah.
You shared stories with Stephen King.
Ready for something else? Ready for the third King?
Hit me.
I am a third generation bastard. Right? Born out of wedlock.
Okay. I thought it was a new song you had.
No.
Okay.
My biological father,
Yes.
his last name was Stewart, but that was his mother's maiden name. His biological father.
It's King.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. So you know what? Do you know what Ethan said when I
What?
told him this? So what? You're joking? Yeah, give it a minute. You're Joe King.
Ah. Again, the RZA family. Ethan, very clever.
Yeah.
The coast. My dad's from the coast. Whole family, Newport.
Yeah.
Where you're from,
Yep.
basically. So I get the humor and the style of living a
Yeah.
little bit more. You know, I maybe that's why I have such a strong connection with you. I've always been like, oh, I fucking love this guy, man, because you remind me so much of creativity surviving.
Yeah.
In a pile of shit.
A giant pile.
Giant pile. You shine. You always find a way
I also
out.
grew up during the fall of the timber stuff. Like
Yeah.
the economy when I was growing up
Yeah.
took a shit dive.
Yeah, it
just
went
took a
down.
giant tank.
Yeah.
And so I watch a lot of alcoholism take people, the kind of thing that happens. Yeah. So by my sophomore year, I was starting to burn out.
Mm.
And I failed everything.
Okay.
Even though
High school.
even though I was probably one of the smartest people there.
Okay.
And the thing is that, I mean, this is still the case. This is why we're building a school. Autistic people have no business in a neurotypical public or even private school. Like, it just doesn't work. I do not learn well in that environment. Like, almost nobody does. Like, for real. I don't just mean autistic people. The thing is broken. It's been broken for a really long time.
They say they were designed for the industrial age. That's why
Yes,
we have to
that's-
go. We go off to a bell and a ringer, and we're
Yep.
sitting in a single file line. We get in the lunch line, 1 2 1
Yeah.
2. It's for the industrial age of working
I think
in factories.
the people
but that's
that
not the way it is anymore.
I think the people that works for, I mean, less than a third of Americans go to college. Clearly, 2/3 are not being served. If the system is set up for you to go all the way through college, and 2/3 aren't even doing it because they're burnt by the time they graduate high school, if they even do. So I did not graduate high school. At this point, I was pretty rebellious. I went through, by the time I was 16, I was emancipated. By the time I was 17, actually, because it all happened when I was 16. I got sent to Pittsford Boys Ranch. They were going to change my behavior. That didn't work.
What was the name of the ranch?
Pittsford Boys Ranch. It doesn't exist anymore. Pitchford.
Oh, Pitchford. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. It shut down a while ago. And mostly, I think, just because funding. It was actually a pretty cool place. The people were cool. None of them understood why I was there.
Yeah.
I
still don't. Go ahead. It's like a giant
yeah.
anomaly. You're like this writing champion.
Yeah.
You play every instrument. You're building. You're fucking with computers.
But I did
since you're in
nothing
third
anyone
grade.
told me to. Still don't.
Ah.
So I never did homework.
When did you start
was
first
very-
painting your fingernails black?
Young.
Yeah.
Young.
It seemed to be some
Middle school
part of
was
your
probably about-
social id when I met you the first time. You
Yeah.
were still going with the painted black fingernails.
Yeah.
When did you start wearing makeup?
High school.
Really?
Yeah. So high school, my sophomore year, didn't do a junior or a senior year. My sophomore year was really interesting. That's when I made a lot of friends, my crew was like there, right? Floater happened. So this is
Floater.
another thing is what started happening around high school. Not just the playing of music,
Yeah.
but I was thinking about this last night actually, because we haven't talked a lot about my autism, but you've always sort of acknowledged it in ways like, hey, have you talked to Nancy? Have you talked to Joey? he's like an encyclopedia for Northwest music.
Yeah.
That started in middle school.
Okay.
Started with Nirvana, and then I read a book about Nirvana, and they talked about the Melvins.
Oh, the Melvins.
And then they talked about all these other bands. And then I figured out that Portland was a big part of the grunge scene, right?
Yeah.
And so I started learning about Portland bands, and then Eugene bands and Portland bands started coming to Cape Fear, which was this tiny, I mean, it was like the size of this place.
I thought it was a movie.
Cape Fear is a movie.
Right?
It was.
Okay, but it was a bar in Newport.
It wasn't a bar. It was an all ages club.
What?
Yeah.
At the coast.
Jollymon, Floater,
Really?
Sweaty Nipples, Everclear came through. What? Cherry Pop and Daddies came through Newport. I saw Cherry Pop and Daddies when I was like 15 or 16.
Legend. This is a legendary
Big
band.
legends. Yeah, there's all Northwest legends.
Yeah.
And so that was my introduction to local music. And when I started kind of pursuing a career, I never really pursued a career like being mega big. I want to play the Crystal Ballroom. That's what I wanted to do. We did that, by the way.
I like it.
Yeah, did that 10 years ago. So, but I started studying local music and just the culture around scenes. And that's when I moved to Eugene. I was heavy into studying scenes and cultures and movements. So that was like kind of fresh.
That's when you're like, was that when you're just skipping around genres, just making?
Yep.
Because I saw you. I mean, I didn't know what you were going to play when you were playing shows.
Yeah,
honestly, I was like, you're like, come see my
I.
show. I was like, I don't. You want to go to the show with me? Sure. What's he like? I don't have no fucking clue what he's going to do tonight.
Because I made up everything.
Right.
Well, let's get there because we can kind of blow through high school. Like we're at 16, right?
Yeah.
I started a band, my first actual like band called 420. Guess what we sang about? Ready? You ready to hear this?
Oh yeah, please give me the weed songs.
All right. So I'm 17.
Black fingernails.
Black fingernails.
Yes.
Allegedly, allegedly there may have been a human with the name of Joseph Stewart who went down to California, crossed the border to Tijuana, and brought back bricks of Mexican marijuana and funded his music career between the ages of 17 and 19.
Okay.
Hypothetically, that might have been a thing that happened.
Okay.
And it was the first time that I helped build a community around sitting in my room 4:20 in the afternoon. The room is spinning around. My head feels like a paper balloon. I said that in a lyric.
I love that.
No, I don't want to come down. Ready? This is the first hook that I ever had people all sing along, singing everybody get high. Singing everybody get high. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so that happens, and before we make an album, I'm still recording stuff at home, right?
Yeah.
But the drummer is programming drums. He's not recording the drums because it was hard. And we had the 420 house, which was like a bunch of bands came out of that. This is in Newport, like nothing's going on. And Cape Fear just closed down, mostly allegedly because of drugs.
Which was weed?
No.
What kind of drugs were popping off back then?
Well, meth was a big deal.
Meth.
Yeah. All of my friends, except for the ones who left with me, basically, or left on their own, we all moved away and went to Eugene. Everybody else became addicted to meth at some point.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's terrible. So I discover for the first time, because all that stuff we're talking about, like, that I made, like most of it just is like weird experimental garbage music.
Right.
But then I start writing pop stuff, except I'm cussing. I'm singing about weed. I am writing super catchy stuff that's like really offensive.
Yeah.
That later I become known for that.
Yeah.
With Unkle Nancy and Family Jewels.
Right. Which we will get into.
But so that band, we put out 2 albums, and then
The 420.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we put out No Bullshit at KNOW.
Okay.
And then God Save America, which was a live album recorded at the original John Henry's.
The one with the big stage
in
and the
1999.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then that goes away. My life starts changing. I get into nursing. I start working with Alzheimer's. Become a CNA, later a CMA, which is certified medical assistant. And that ended up being like kind of a cool journey that brought me to Eugene. Here's how I came to Eugene. My great grandmother got Alzheimer's and cancer, and my grandma needed help. That's how I came to Eugene. My cousin introduced me to a guy who had just started playing bass, and he wanted to start a band. His name was Adam. It's one of my really good buddies. Sisters, Angie Bono.
Oh, wow.
And so then we started a band called Uteri. But shortly before that, when I'm about 19, I reconnect with my drama teacher's son. His name's Ethan.
Okay.
Ezelius.
Ezel. What up, Ezel?
Yeah.
Got to shout out
I
Ezel.
reconnect with him, and he is playing. He has a new band, and he's rapping. I'm like, "What? You're rapping? I thought you were a bass player, and you sang sometimes. You're a rapper now?" And he's like, "Yeah." Met Justin Dodge.
Name of that group was The Juice to Make It Happen.
Yeah.
The Juice to Make It Happen.
So right at that time when I started Uteri, they all were moving to Eugene. First show I ever go to Eugene when I'm living here is Metric.
Metric.
Yeah, you were there.
I was
I
there.
think, yeah.
Okay.
But that was before Genius Pro.
That was right before Genius Pro.
Right before.
That was when we had the Hip Hop Student Union at the U of O.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I
the
met
show
all
was.
and it was a big gathering.
So hip hop's been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Mostly the music part.
Mm-hmm.
Beat making. I started that young. Hip hop grabbed the fuck a hold of me that night.
Why did hip hop grab a hold of you? What is it about hip hop that got you that night?
So I mean, there's 2 parts, right? It's the lyricism.
Yeah.
And the message, but it's the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's it, right? We've done shows. One of the first shows I did with you, the audience was in a frenzy by the time I got off stage.
Yes.
That's when I discovered, when I started messing around with like, okay, I can kind of rap, or like I can go do backups, or we used to go do ciphers. I was the guy who sang, right?
Mm-hmm. You play instruments.
Yeah. But what I started discovering around this time is that I can make people move.
Mm-hmm.
I can, it's not just an energy exchange. I can manipulate you.
Mm.
People don't like that word because people use it. People manipulate for
And the negative
the dark side,
connotation,
right?
but really.
But what I learned with Alzheimer's is that you have to manipulate those people.
Massage therapists manipulate muscles to make you feel better.
And so that's when I started learning that music is manipulative. And then I just needed to know how. That took me 15 years to figure out. And now we have emotional music theory.
Right. Which is the bookend of this.
Yeah. So around this time, I had a metal band for about 6 seconds.
Named?
Unkle Nancy.
We finally get to the
Yes.
name. We want to know why your name is Unkle Nancy.
When I was 16.
Check this out, Trevor.
Yeah. When I was 16, I went to see Floater for probably the 70th time in Eugene, which we used to do every weekend. And I took some mind-altering substance. So they sold out 10 people in front of me. Had one of the most amazing nights of my life. Because I just walked around with my buddy in Eugene for the first time ever at night. Got into bars somehow. I don't know. I was a big fat kid, so maybe I just looked old. But 6 a.m, I'm at my motel that I locked myself out of. Outside, smoking a ciggy. A very short man who appeared to be homeless.
A little person
walks up and says something about the president king and say hello to your Uncle Nancy for me.
So a little person walked up to you while you were high on psychedelics late night
Yep.
after partying all night and walked up to you and said,
say hello to your Uncle Nancy for me. Like it was like that. It was like all raspy and like there was two, like I'd done something to him.
And since that day, you have been Uncle Nancy.
No, because it was just a name for a couple of years. And then when I was 19 at a metal band that was really terrible, I didn't write any of the songs. I was just the singer. They wrote the songs. They're awful songs. And sorry guys, I love you, but they're pretty bad. And it was butt rock, right? Justin Dodge recorded that band while he was working on the first Juice to Make It Happen album.
Okay.
The Pabst.
Yeah, Pabst one.
Yeah. And
shout out to Hunter, by the way.
yeah, so here's the deal. While I was in the studio, I made a couple songs with Dodge and Hunter Blackwell.
Hunter
Yeah.
Blackwell. Hunter Ratwell.
Yes. Hunter
My dude.
Blackwell.
He came through
So yeah,
to visit you today.
Well, and he reminded me this is what I'm getting to.
heard you. Okay, sorry.
This is what I'm getting to. So Hunter and I become friends. We always had each other's back, right? And we'd always introduce each other. Kind of all the juice. We were just constantly networking and doing a cool thing. And then we were at Cafe Paradiso, all ages place in Eugene, like the only spot. Miss it dearly. It was amazing. Open mic. The Hunter is announcing, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen," please, and I just was in a band that had just broken up called Unkle Nancy.
Yeah.
Please welcome to the stage, Uncle Nancy. I was so pissed. Like, my name's Joey, dude. Stuck.
Stuck.
A couple weeks later, he brings you over to my house, and I'm like, just some weirdo in a cave who claims to have made thousands of beats this year. And you were like, is this guy even real?
Is he real?
Yeah. A week later, we performed for the first time.
Yeah. At the
Lorax. Yeah.
The Lorax.
Yeah.
We played at the Lorax.
On a stage made of mattresses.
At a mattress stage. It was a mattress with a door on it.
Yeah.
And I remember jumping like, go, and like hitting my head on the roof.
So that was the night that we both, I don't think that either of us had really done this technique, which we both have done just 10,000 times since, which is like, yo, what are we going to sing? Everybody loves butter. And then we would just start
Yeah.
I say, everybody loves butter.
Yeah.
Everybody loves butter.
That's it.
Everybody loves butter. Everybody loves butter. Oh yeah. Butter.
Yeah, so we sing about everything.
Yeah. So that night, that was Ethan on bass. Don't know who the drummer was, and Justin Dodge on keys, and I was playing guitar, and you and I like clicked.
Yeah.
We would just it was awesome. I never had that experience before of just like,
it's never
here's the
not
hook, and we keep going back to that hook.
It's never not been that way, bro.
Yeah.
It's always been like that.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but it's also very cool. And it's like, I really love freestyle and improvisation, and you've always been a master of that. And I bow down to the Jedi in you with that, because you really are a Jedi master improvisational person.
Yeah.
And so,
I think because writing is hard.
Let's go
for me.
Let's go from this, because now we've got your foundation of
there you go.
who you are, and like
10-hour backstory.
But that's okay, because people, it's so hard to explain you, and without going over like, what the fuck made this dude?
Yeah.
Now we know what the fuck made you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to push it forward a little bit to when you're like really dialing in. Let's just skip the whole Keegan Smith and the fan bullshit because we don't need to talk about that.
Well, maybe a little.
Let's talk about what you did. You pushed this music into this thing called Gypsy Pirate Blues. Yeah. Okay? Because I really feel like we both kind of bounced around with our creativity until we solidified these things.
Yeah.
I
think that's what happens.
Yeah. I had it.
That's how you make a style.
You
right?
helped me with my first band because I asked you to help me build the greatest band ever assembled.
Well, because we kept doing that what we did at the Lorax for years.
Yes.
We would just have these special little shows, a time or two a year. You'd produce one, I'd produce one, and we just get an all-star lineup of musician friends and improv a show.
And I was in Genus Pro at the time, but I was always singing and more than hip hop, you know. And that's what so then I built this band called Marv Ellis and his Imaginary Friends, and you helped me assemble that squad, and it was just this filthy squad. Yoko,
awesome. Yeah,
like we had a squad.
I mean, there was
Brooks Barnett, Deviate.
The Family Jewels was born on the porch.
Yes,
right. What would later become the Family Jewels.
Yeah, because
Ethan came to see if maybe he wanted to play bass in the band.
Yeah,
and Yoko was there.
Should
we do the thing?
Which one?
So at this time, this is right before this.
What is the thing, real quick? Because I don't even know what you're going into, bro. Should we do the thing? What?
Morning comes.
Oh, you want to sing? You want to sing a song?
Yes, but first, what we're gonna, because this leads right up to Gypsy Pirate Blues, right?
Okay.
So I was making improvisational, electro, hip hop, whatever weird
at
stuff,
the Black Forest,
right, all the time, and I was. Everything was improv. I hadn't actually wrote down a song since high school. And I met a chick. Right? And I just fell head over heels and I couldn't tell her how I felt. So instead I wrote an album.
Okay. Because this is the way.
Yeah. And so that was the summer, and this is the first song I wrote for Lovely.
So we're gonna get a little song from Unkle Nancy here, Joey Stewart, Joey Helpish. And this is one of my favorite songs. I've got to sing on stage with you a lot.
So the first time I ever played it with anyone was that night when Ethan was over, Yoko was over, and we were just hanging out on the porch, and Yoko played with this song, and then I was like, hey, I have a show in like 2 days. Do you and Ethan want to come play
on
it?
my porch?
Yeah.
10th and Almaid in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah. So I had a show at the Black Forest.
2006.
And I invited Big Peasy, who was also, him and I were the guitar players originally in Imaginary Friends, right?
Yes.
And so we had our first show, and then Bunny was my drummer.
Bunny.
So that band, that right there, Yoko, Ethan, and Bunny, very soon became the Family Jewels. Okay. But before they were the Family Jewels, they were just my buddies playing on my album.
Okay.
And the first album that we made together, produced by Paul Bustrin, was Lovely.
Lovely.
Yeah, the first song I wrote for it goes, morning comes, I'm starting to feel sober. Images of lovely dancing in my mind, wondering before it begins, is it over? Well, I don't know, but I'm feeling left behind. Someday somebody gonna come along, break your heart. Well, just sit down while I play the part of the simple, idiotic fool. Guess for now I'll just play it cool. I'll just play it cool. Just play it cool. Just play it
And it goes longer and harder and sweeter.
Yes,
Come
there's
on now.
more. There's more stuff, but go check it out. I think it's out. Yeah, it's on Spotify and everything now. So that was Yoko on cello for the album that we made. Ethan on bass, and then Bunny on drums. And right after I recorded that, I went on tour around the Northwest.
Okay, so let's hold on a second.
Yeah.
When I was when you started doing this, you and I both were kind of experimental with what we're doing.
Yes.
I was the Imagine Your Friends was string section, horns, backups, crazy.
Hip hop big band.
But you were like, this genre, I'd never heard this shit before.
The Gypsy Pirate stuff?
The Gypsy Pirate blues.
So let me explain, because it was that summer after I finished Lovely, that like spring into summer, where I was starting to get into this sound.
Yeah.
I was starting to listen to more Tom Waits. Gogol Bordello was like really getting big, right? And what I started doing at the end of shows of Unkle Nancy and his friends, right? This is before there's Family Jewels. At the end of the shows, I would do covers in this different style. So we would do We Don't Need No Education. But how I'd sing it is, we don't need no education. And then we started street performing that stuff.
You were busking a lot.
Yeah. But what would happen is that at the end we'd do like some Marilyn Manson, right? We're all stars now in the dope show. We're all stars now. Then we would do kid songs. The end of the show, so we'd always start with like, oh, lovey, love, love, lovey, dovey, 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 do. But at the end of the show, kind of the encore, right? And we were starting to get like a little bit of following. We were playing. I did touring different than anyone else. I toured Oregon. Toured every single little town, played in taverns everywhere for 10 people, then 20 people, you know. And then we were, at one point, I had weekly shows 4 days a week at these small little places all around Oregon. So anyway, the end of the show started becoming the second half of the show. And then we started doing things like, started doing this one. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Everybody's singing, everybody's going crazy. Started busking the first year that we played. We're not even the Family Jewels yet, man. Like we're playing more and more together.
You're becoming a traveling band of pirate gypsies playing blues.
I'm on the road constantly. Me and a friend first, and then me and Bunny, and then me by myself for a while. And they're just meeting up with me, and it's happening more and more and more.
Is this the time that you found the gypsy scale with the diminished minor seventh? Did that kind of infuse into this style when you?
I didn't know what I was doing, but yes, I was switching from minor pentatonic, real simple blues-based stuff.
Right.
And I started. So you have like the 1, 4, 5 and a minor is all 4 chords are minor chords.
Okay. Did that last question make it look like I knew what I was talking about?
Yes, it was good.
Right,
I'm real proud of you.
Thank you.
So if you follow the natural Western American scale, the 5th chord is a minor chord.
Yes.
But if you change one note, you raise one note. You raise the 7th note. Because there's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, right? There's 7 notes in a scale. You put one semitone, and then that 5th chord now is a major, or it could be a major with a minor 7th, and then that sound.
That is where Gypsy Pirate Blues was.
And that was always, so people always ask me, what are your influences? And when it comes to different, I have different influences for different genres I do. I have different hats I put on, right?
Right.
For that, it wasn't an artist. It was a series of moments.
Mm.
Floater.
Mm.
Favorite band of all time growing up. Seen them over 100 times. There's one song, just the beginning. Well, you trust no one. You can never rest. Trust anyone and they'll. That right there is the Gypsy Pirate Blues, right?
Yeah.
But it's many things. The actual phrase came from the fact that when the Family Jewels was named, when I was like, look, it has to be Unkle Nancy because I just can't operate in a Beatles type situation.
Yeah.
Which was difficult it's difficult to be in a band. And
it's super difficult.
Yeah, but it's really difficult when you have to be in control.
You have to be in control. You have to write the songs.
Yeah.
You have to make the decisions, but they get equal pay.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
And I move quickly.
Yeah.
I move fast and break stuff, and that's just really hard in a band situation.
And
anyway,
if they don't know how to deal with
it was a big learning experience for us. I'm glad we're all-
autism,
right,
how to
they didn't.
navigate
No.
that friendship, that's tough.
Yeah.
You
it
can't
is.
blame them.
No. And so, so that sound was the blues. All of us grew up playing the blues.
Yes.
And Ethan and I really, like, when Ethan committed to the band, that's when it was Unkle Nancy and the Family Jewels.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
he was the glue. Really, in so many ways, musically and like
It kind of has
band-wise.
to be because he's the guy
Yeah.
communicating your favorite original love. He's
Right,
holding
he
your
is.
original love in his hands.
He is.
And you're counting on him
I
to
am.
play your original love while you branch out forward. And
And do other stuff, right?
Yeah, in the
he's
front.
got to hold it down.
yeah, so he's the and the.
Yeah, he's
Every
the
band
and the.
kind of has the
They
Obi-Wan
have-
and the, right?
They have the and the, yeah.
Every band we've had through here at the live show every Friday night on the Hive
Yeah.
has had an Obi-Wan in the band. There's always an
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So who's your Obi-Wan in Family Jewels? Now, we have video of a Family Jewels.
Yeah.
I would love to pull up
do
one
it.
of your videos, and we're not going to listen to the song.
Cool.
We're going to just look at it.
Oh, it's
We're gonna-
it's good to look at.
We're going to look
All
at
the
it.
Family
and you're
Jewels
gonna,
are in it.
all the family. So we're going to introduce to the world.
Because we kept adding them.
For those of you who are tuning into the YouTube version of this, we are going to show you the people. Now, what do we got here?
Oh, wait. This is different. This is not the official video. These are two kids who are lip syncing way before TikTok. This is 10 years ago.
Holy
Look at these.
shit.
These are grown women now.
I recognize
So yeah,
the
so
one on
that's
the left for some reason. It's weird.
so that's not the official video, but it's fantastic.
I'm so confused right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the crew, just from an outside perspective to those that don't know, you guys were the shit, man.
Yeah.
And like you guys held it down, and you guys blew up
We built
parties
a culture
everywhere.
around us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people were into the Pirate Gypsy Blues, and
Yeah.
you played with me, and together
Mhm.
we sold out the Crystal Ballroom,
Yeah.
and it was
One of the coolest things. in
you
my
were
life.
coming through to my weekly all the time.
Yeah.
At the Northwest Fresh Tuesdays in Portland at the White Eagle, we broke all the sales records, and they gave us the Crystal Ballroom. And
Yeah.
you were always coming through, representing, bringing, helping me keep my hip hop diverse and multi-genre.
Yeah. For a
and-
while, I played a different instrument every week.
Yeah, it was awesome. And you would play slide guitar. I
Yeah.
remember you would be scratching your slide guitar. You'd bring in a freaking kazoo and just jam that for a while. We had so much fun.
Yeah. It was good
We
stuff.
had good times.
So then, everything came crashing down. Did you find the video?
Yeah, we have to see.
Yeah. I want to see the crew
You got to see the crew.
before I talk about me having to lead the crew.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
That was what was up in Portland circa 2010 ish,
It
2011.
started in 2007 and went through
But
to
2010 was when we sold out the Crystal Ballroom.
Yeah.
And that was when it
and
was
then a
at
year later is when I retired.
the
when I
peak.
had to
It was
stop.
all going down. It was. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
let's get some audio.
little bit of audio.
Okay.
We got.
There you are,
There I am.
Unkle Nancy.
There's Yoko.
Yoko is the cello player. There's you. Now, what's going on here? Why are you acting like you're dying?
That is what's called stimming.
Okay, that's stemming.
So
There's the one and only Anthony McCarthy,
Yeah,
the Lord of the Fair.
he was a piano player. There's Ethan rolling the bass. There's Laz. He was a guitar player. Yoko, cello player. Daddy-O.
There's Daddy-O. There's the girl that played the saw. Whose belly is that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh,
It was Erica. Erica Wren made this video. And he got the dancers.
Okay.
So this is very poignant because at this time people assumed I was on drugs all the time on stage because that's how I looked. There's Bunny. There's the king. So
He's the drummer.
So when I perform, I can't mask. It's almost impossible.
Okay.
So I shake when I sing. I shake my hands. I flap my hands.
Yeah.
And my eyes roll in the back of my head.
They do. I've always wondered why your eyes were rolling back in your
and
head.
you can see like what I'm doing right there
Yeah.
with my hand on my forehead. It's pressure. And I'm. It's a way to regulate. Look at that crew.
Look at that band.
Yeah, that was we were the shit. Yeah, it was the thing, and we quit literally at the top of our.
You had a
game.
huge following, man. I'm just very. I'm
Big.
I'm just.
Big.
I'm not valid. Just. I'm just. I'm witness. I was a witness to what you did with this entire genre that I feel like you created, bro. I'm not joking. Like I feel like you made this thing.
A lot of things
that was
a
like
lot of things
massive.
changed. It was already there was definitely things
No,
already happening.
I saw vaudevillian shit.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of
But
blue
we
stuff.
we took it to
You
a
guys
more
were
poppy.
on another level, dude.
It was more. We wanted to write pop songs.
It was on another level. Let me just say
Catchy
this.
stuff.
It was not just like, oh, there's that genre over there. It was like, what the fuck are they doing? This is insane. And I've seen you dominate rooms with power of music.
Yeah.
Manipulate.
That's
You manipulate.
manipulation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was-
that's what it is.
So at that point in time,
Mm-hmm.
did you have any idea that you were using root motive theory with your music? Or were you just
Not at
still
all.
going off the feeling?
Not at all, but I was paying attention to what, like, I knew how to make a song to make people laugh. I knew how to make a song to make people cry. I knew how to make a song to make people feel. And so that was during our third album. We had 3 albums. During the third one, what I heard the most was like, you get people to feel feelings. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what I do now.
Yeah.
Took a break for a while, came back to it. Coming back to it, everything's about feelings. Everything's about mental health. Everything's about self-awareness. Everything's about self-acceptance, being you. And that last album, there's a lot of that on it, Off the Map. And because I was off the map when I wrote it, it was the first time that I just disappeared. I just disappeared. Like I was very much in the limelight on social media. I was, Unkle Nancy's always been a character. And so like I had fun with that, being a snarky ass, making jokes. And then shit got real, like really real. Looking back, I understand that during that time, this is when we both lived in like southwest Portland, right?
Right.
During that time, what was actually going on was massive. And it had happened before. It's happened since. This is the biggest one. This is the life-changing moment. Massive autistic burnout. So what happens when you go through autistic burnout is you just aren't able to keep up the game anymore.
You just don't want to play anymore.
You just can't. It just can't.
Like, whatever.
So here's the deal, right? Do you know who the most diagnosed people are right now?
For autism?
Yes.
Who?
Women in between the ages of 30 and 50.
Okay.
Basically go through what I went through when I was like 25, 26, whatever.
Okay.
Which is utter, like, it's like regression. Like you just can't, like I just couldn't be a normal person anymore. The anxiety was so bad. I was so tired of, I have sensory issues. I have just, all kinds of things that I now know to navigate my life around so I can be happy and stuff, which I am most of the time. It wasn't then, because bars are a terrible place for a person with sensory issues, right?
Yeah.
They're just probably a terrible place for people. But, and so I've never drank. I've never had a drinking problem, right? Never drank more than like 2 drinks at a time. Raised by an alcoholic. Not a thing I want to, not a road I go down to. Also, I'm an addicted personality, so I try to be careful. I started a drinking band. I had the biggest drinking band in the Northwest for
the Pirate
a few
Gypsy
years.
band was like...
This is big. We were sponsored by Ninkasi.
Yeah, it was sponsored by Ninkasi.
We were the first band to be sponsored by Ninkasi.
Oh.
And yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we might have had a couple metal things.
There's a couple other bands.
But we were definitely the first one to take it on the road.
Yeah.
And take it on the road we did.
Yes.
And it worked.
Yes.
We got
Show up with a couple cases in Ninkasi.
Yes.
We're sponsored by Ninkasi.
Yep.
Here's some cases. After party, we
you
got
did the
cases
same
in
thing,
Ninkasi.
around the same time.
Yeah.
And a lot of those bands, I know that the two of us pushed Ninkasi a lot.
We did. We actually...
A lot.
I know personally, I took Ninkasi to 8 different states.
Yeah. It's
And
cool shit. But they supported us and helped us get out there.
Yeah,
They believed in it.
They didn't have to pay their marketing team. We were their marketing
Yeah.
team. It was genius.
I wrote...
James Book.
Ready? Here we go. If you don't drink Ninkasi, all your friends will spite you. If you don't drink Ninkasi, no boys or girls will like you.
Yeah.
If you don't drink Ninkasi, I'm gonna fight you. Better drink, 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 drink.
Yeah.
Ninkasi.
Yeah. And people are just slamming it.
Yeah.
It was insane.
There's videos on the internet.
People
of
just
you and-
pouring beer on themselves.
of
like
you
it's
and
the holy
of you
wine.
and I,
Yeah.
you and I singing that song with the family jewels at Ninkasi during the block party.
Yeah.
So that's I think the important thing to say about the Jewels is that when Lovely came out, before it was Unkle Nancy and the Jewels, you were there. You opened up. You actually, this is the first time you ever played guitar and sang. It was opening up for me.
I still don't remember doing that.
12 years ago or whatever. Nobody came. I was so mad because all of our friends decided to throw a block party. It's called the Whitaker Block Party.
Yeah.
The next year, you and I headlined it.
Yeah.
And I have done that every year for many years. You've done the most too. I think you've missed a couple, but we have played that party for a long time. But that party
is the most drunken debauchery thing I've ever seen.
That party made the Family Jewels.
Yeah, it did. You're like the Whitaker Pirate representative band,
yes,
dude. You guys were the band repping the Wit harder than anybody. And the Wit, if you don't know, in Eugene, 2006, I worked at Papa Soul Food Kitchen. And I was the front of the house manager, and I watched 4th and Blair turn into a very cool place to be. Papa Soul Food Kitchen was there, the Red Barn, and Sam Bonds. Everything else fell to the ground and crumbled. New Day Bakery, I think, stayed. Either way, it turned into everybody's. Right now, it is the hipster, cool place to be. Is the Whitaker.
Has been for
Ninkasi's there. Fuck, everything's there. Arcimoto was there. Like everything was there.
Yeah.
And all the housing prices doubled, and all the police started showing up down there.
Yeah.
So, and that is the Whitaker. And then they have a block party on the first Saturday of August every year. And the Whitaker block party is insane.
Insane.
Like 10,000 people on the block.
Remember the first couple were just like a couple thousand, maybe it's a couple hundred.
But then it got cool.
And then it shot the third year.
Yeah.
6,000.
Yeah.
8,000.
And they eliminated the Eugene celebration. So really the Whitaker block party right now, currently before quarantine, is the Eugene celebration.
Yeah.
And if you're going to live in Eugene and you want some culture,
that's where you go.
That's where you live, is the Whitaker, is the Wit. And the Whitaker's flag is a pirate.
Yep, that's true.
And you had the Pirate Gypsy Blues Band from the uprise of the Whitaker. So like your band, look, I'm getting the spirit bumps.
Yeah.
Your band was the band of an entire neighborhood's rise to economic prosperity.
Yeah, we built culture.
Popularity.
We're part of a big thing. It was really amazing. So then the autistic burnout happens. Some pretty bad health scares happen. My arthritis catches up with me. I am just dead tired all the time. And I just like can't. So I had to have my band over and tell them like, this is like Epic Records wanted to sign us. Like we're doing well. And I had to quit. There's a lot of reasons why. The biggest one is that it was making me unhealthy. Everything about the whole situation. And it was making what I had to do hard. And so I had to kind of make it official. We had our last show, which was a sold out, like fantastic show at the Wow Hall. But I had to quit and I had to make it official because I had to tell myself, I had to be accountable that this wasn't working for me. I needed to focus on other things. And I also needed to come to terms with being autistic because that's when I got diagnosed, was after our last tour. I went through massive burnout and I had been told, you're probably autistic. You probably have Asperger's syndrome. Most, by basically every ex-girlfriend I had.
So wait, that's when you got diagnosed?
Yes. Was about a year before I quit.
So
which is 10 years ago now.
That whole time, we didn't know that you had that.
No.
We were just like, he really gets into his music when he sings on stage.
He's really weird.
He rolls his eyes back. Look at him go. Wow, look at that guy
really,
go.
That's the real me.
Look at the act he's throwing up there.
It's not an act.
That's crazy. And then so that whole time, so that's just proof that I'm a good guy.
Yeah, that is.
That makes me feel good. I'm like, it doesn't matter what he's like. I love that guy. I didn't even know you had.
That's the thing is that like on stage.
That's trippy to
on
think.
Stage, that's me, and it's not me. What's not me is that like people. I remember this one guy giving me a ride home to my kind of surrogate family's farm, to the monkey house, right? Lee and everybody. And he was texting his friends like, "I'm gonna get drunk with Unkle Nancy. I'm gonna party. It's gonna be crazy." Yeah. He milked some goats and played Xbox with a 7-year-old. That's what happened. I'm boring, Yeah. And so, but the other thing is that like the movements that when I just that's me.
Okay.
I'm letting myself do that more.
But you should just fully let that go, man.
Yeah, because that when I don't, I kind of get sick. Because here's the thing, and this is what I learned from Kirsten is like, when you keep things in, they become secrets. Secrets make us sick.
Secrets make us sick.
That's everything. That's helped. That's of all the ways that Kirsten has helped me. That's the most. The secrets make you sick. Huh. And I kind of added the beginning part, which is when you don't express things, they become secrets. That's fucking true. Yeah. If you don't write a song about it,
festers.
If you don't tell somebody about it, if you don't make a podcast, and that's everything that I do. So when I'm doing live streaming, when I'm doing content creation on YouTube, when I'm teaching, what I'm trying to do is help people not get sick, not keep secrets. Let that shit out. Write a song. It's not hard.
And
art is not hard.
And you came back.
Yeah.
You've had your reunion shows. You've had a bunch of last shows.
Right.
Let's just fast forward through those years because you really spent the time trying to figure out how you could
Who am I?
Who you are.
Yeah.
And how you could be effective with the skill you have and the passion you have. And you kind of landed in this strange way. I mean, you play every instrument.
Yeah.
You landed in your bedroom for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you ordered food in. And you were with Miss Dandelion? What is his name?
I like Miss
Lady
Dandelion.
Miss Dandelion. Miss Dandelion. Lady Helpish. You were with Lady Helpish, and you came into this thing called root motive theory.
Yeah.
And this is a tool that you sort of developed to help people express themselves, right? And to help get people who have secrets out and express them so they don't become poison. And
yeah.
right. So you made a tool.
Yeah. Originally, so its purpose has changed. So what happened was Kirsten was watching. I'm really kind of cynical when it comes to like ultra spiritual hippy dippy stuff.
Spiritual materialism.
Yeah, I get a lot. I get that a lot of it is scientifically sound, but I just the woo woo stuff rubs me wrong, right? And so she was watching something that said a metal C played at 444 hertz represents love, and I was like, I hit pause and I was like, that's bullshit because music is relative. If C is love, it has to be because of the other notes that are enacted around it. That's how it works, right?
These are facts you're dropping.
Yes. So I was like, look, if C is love in C major, G is love in G major. And Kirsten was like, what? Kirsten was just learning the ukulele and about a year into living with this dude that is nothing but music. A side effect of being around me too long, we just kind of started talking about this, is that I will music you.
You music the fuck out of people.
Yeah, I will.
Let's flip to the screen, Trev. Let's go to the AirPlay.
Yeah.
And let's we got some cool Hivve tech going on here. Unkle Nancy, Joey Helpish, Joe. I mean, I feel bad for calling you Unkle Nancy now forever.
You have my permission to do that forever.
What do you want to be called?
Friend.
I mean, you know what I mean. What would you prefer? Because it sucks. Because it doesn't suck. But the truth is,
Nancy's fine from people who were there.
But
right.
But when it was
but who I am is Joey Helpish, because here's who Joey Helpish is.
Tell me.
There's 3 people. This is back to the
Joey Helpish is 3 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joey Stewart was born poor, autistic, abused.
Okay.
A survivor. He creates Unkle Nancy, who will fucking kill you. Okay. He doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. He is here to make you dance, or he'll kick your ass. That's Unkle Nancy.
Yes.
He was created by Joey Stewart. Unkle Nancy created Lonesome, who is now, when I refer to him, he's autistic and he's nonverbal and he's alone and he's sad. And he writes the best songs. I am all 3 of those people now. I used to compartmentalize. Joey Helpish isn't that. When I first started, I was like, well, maybe Joey Helpish needs to be a little squeaky clean because I want to work with kids. Yeah. But I'm not squeaky clean. I wear pajamas. I say shit.
You do.
I call kids badass. If they make me really happy, I say, fuck yeah, dude. And if people don't like that, then I'm not for them, and that's fine. But if you want me to cuss at your kids and make them laugh, I'm probably for you.
You're a great teacher.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I am. But so I remember when I was doing the homeschool thing, my nephew said, you know, Uncle, you would be a really good teacher if you didn't cuss so much. It's moments like that set me on fire, because I'm like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do both. Bitches.
Okay.
Right. So I'm a little Unkle Nancy. I'm also a little sad and a little alone. And I'm a survivor.
Okay.
Of abuse. So that's all the things. But that's what that makes in a Joey Helpish stew, right?
Yeah.
It's a teacher who is completely done with being anything but myself, and teaching other people to do the same.
I like that.
Yeah.
Organic.
The biggest thing I do, because, if I'm teaching somebody and they stop playing music, but they start animating, I'm teaching them how to animate stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
So I'm really a creative coach for kids. That's really like what I do. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool.
It is cool.
So
you help people express.
Well, you said a thing right when I started that was like, no, Joey, you're not helping people learn music. You're helping them.
You're helping them get the poison out.
Yeah.
You're helping them figure out a way to do to get through it and to express themselves like you did. Like
Daniel Johnson did. Like all my heroes use music to not kill themselves.
Honestly, to be totally honest with you, that's the only reason I do music is because it helps me feel better from this shit.
That's what it's for. What if we could all do it? That's my whole thing. Yeah. Is that like, And I get pretty crass and kind of like judgmental towards musicians, right? I think we've had enough time with this whole elitist idea of like music can only be for really great people who are really great at music. Music should be for everybody. There are people who are really good at music and get paid for it. But for some reason, people think if you're not doing that, you shouldn't play music. But here's the deal. There are also people who get paid to wear clothes. Does that mean you shouldn't wear clothes because you're never going to get paid? My favorite analogy is it's like a bike. Nobody ever says, I'll never be Lance Armstrong. So what's the point of learning to ride a bike? That's ridiculous. That's what everybody says about music. Literally everyone who doesn't play music, their excuse is it's a waste of time or never going to be good. No, that's not. You ride a bike not because you're going to be Lance Armstrong, because it's good exercise, and it's convenient, it's cheap, it's fun, it's cool.
I like that.
Music is the same.
I like that a lot.
Music is transportation of the soul. It's a way to get around from one place to another in an efficient way. And there's things that you can do on a bike you can't do with your legs or four wheels. Mm-hmm. Music's the same. There are ways that I can express how I'm feeling or how someone else is feeling with music that you can't do any other way. Mm. So that comes to root motives, right? Is this screen up? Yes. So I'm like, that's bullshit. Music is relative. Kirsten's like, what are you talking about? We locked ourselves in a room, ordered out for 3 days, basically didn't leave bed except to like go to the bathroom. And so, just, she has all the recordings. Someday we'll release them. It'll be amazing. So we started with the scale. Mm-hmm. You hear that okay?
Yeah. Can you hear that okay, Trev?
Okay. So everybody knows this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All music is this pattern, especially Western. We have to be specific because when you get to Indian music, it's just way more complex. Other kinds of music are more simple, but most of the music that we listen to is based off of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is this pattern where you have 12 notes. And why the piano's cool is that in the key of C, it simplifies things. Because if we count each thing as one semitone, they're called, okay? I don't know why. There's just so much of music is old, is 1,000-year-old white dude words that don't make any sense. And anyway, so you start with your root note, and you go 2 notes up, 1 note, 2, 2, 2, 2. I can do that in C, but in C major, I go 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So you can find the major scale anywhere. Mm. That's melody. So if you just have a bass, it's just like boom, 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 and then over the top, all one note at a time. But then you stack notes in this scale, and it makes harmony. So I'm going to play
You're playing on the iPad right now?
Yeah. I'm going to play the first note. Then I'm going to skip a note in the scale. So I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to play the third note. So here's the first note and the third note. I'm going to skip again. I'm not going to play that note. I'm going to play the fifth. So the root, 1, 3rd, and 5th. There's love.
Love.
Lovey-dovey. Everything's happy. Okay.
Do you feel the love, Trevor, in that note?
I feel it.
Okay.
But here's the thing. We're going to take this shape in the scale and just move it to the next note up. So the second note. And we're doing every other note. So it's the 2, the 4, and the 6. Ooh, that sounds sad.
Yeah.
But what emotion is that? So what we figured out is the relativity. If I play this chord.
Love.
And then longing.
Longing for a sandwich.
And then we keep going up the scale, and it's sorrow, hope, despair. Wait, no, power. And then despair. And then transition. And back to love. So there's these 7 root motives. So how that works. Kirsten, can you bring me some water when you get a chance? Okay, so how that works.
Lady of the Dandyland.
Yeah, thank you, babe.
On water.
So we're
for
gonna
the
start
dandy
with,
man.
We're gonna start with love.
Sorry.
So I love somebody.
Love.
Then I'm gonna play the second chord. We broke up, and I'm longing for them to come back.
I wish they would come back.
I'm hopeful
I hope there's pizza later on.
because I love them.
Because I love them.
Baby, come back to me. I swear it won't happen again. Well, baby, come back to me. I swear it won't happen again. Right? So that's what's going on there is that they are not the only emotions that's happening. It's not like if you put love, longing, and hope together, it's just going to make you feel those different combinations and different, it depends on the speed that you're going, and the order in which those are. But then we started listening to other music, and I'm like, okay, so that's like, so American music is based off of the 1
Yes.
and the 4
Yeah.
and the 5.
Yeah.
So like, low way, oh, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Right? Country music is like 1-4, 1-5.
Yeah.
Well, it's country. It's country. It's country. It's country. It's country. Okay, so
What genre do you not listen to much of? Country?
No, I listen to a lot of country.
You listen to a lot of country?
Yeah, she loves modern country.
Okay.
I can't stand it, but I love bluegrass.
Sorry, I just totally threw you off your explanation.
Right, so that's love, hope, love, power, love. The 1, 4, and 5 in the major is love, hope, and power. That's happy shit. That is uplifting stuff. That is, and then American music adds the minor 7th to these major chords, and it becomes rooted in love and despair at the same time, thus making, we call it struggle. That blues is rooted in struggle.
Okay.
Well, we don't have to get into it, gets complex, but so that dominates America until the 60s and 70s. Nice. Until the 60s and 70s, when we start adding the 6th chord, despair. Closing time, one last call for alcohol, or no woman, no cry. So what happens is that we go from love, just dealing, when we were writing songs, dealing with love, hope, and power, we add despair in the mix. I call it the empathy progression. So when you go from love to power to despair and then resolve on hope, it is the most recognizable human combination of emotional root motives, clearly, because we keep using them.
What other songs use those?
Just a small town girl living in alone, or country road, take me home.
Yeah. Okay.
To a place like.
So that's the classic. One more
Yeah.
time, the classic American with the 6th added to it and the
Yeah.
7th. What is that called?
We call it the empathy progression.
Empathy progression. Okay.
Here's what's happened.
What happened to that?
We replaced some things, our more modern stuff. Instead of this, it would be.
Oh yeah, that Weezer shit. Yeah.
And Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, yep. I love that progression.
So that's
What is
love,
that? What is that?
despair, sorrow.
I feel that sometimes so much.
Everybody does, and they have for the last 5 years, clearly, because and then what's also become popular is singing off the second note, which is longing. Da, 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 so our culture has switched. We have gotten rid of, not completely, but we are veering away from, in our music, power and hope. And we are more focused on love, despair, and sorrow. It's not an accurate description of what the hell's been going on.
I mean, just to translate it to hip hop beats and music that I hear, mostly all this synthy shit I hear is like very sorrow, despair, longing, no power, no hope. Like 90s, the beats were like power.
Yeah. It's all power. It's all just,
hope.
Yeah.
Love. And now it's just like sad. I'm sad. I'm dabbed out.
You just said the 90s were power, hope, love. So I'm going to power, hope, love.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
Yes.
Rising to the street. Light me up that cigarette. Nice dry shoes on my feet. Got to find a reason things went wrong. Got to find a reason why my money's all gone. I got a Dalmatian. I can still get high. I can play a guitar like a motherfucking right. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. 90s.
Yeah. Power, hope, and love. That's actually not, that progression is very 70s.
Yeah.
Sweet home Alabama.
Okay.
Another progression that gets popular, right? Power, hope, and love. It's the reverse of love, hope, and power. You're literally playing Louie Louie backwards.
You know the song WAP?
Yes.
What key is that in?
That is rooted in empowerment.
It's just pure empowerment.
Empowerment and hope. So, okay, so here's what happened, because that's in the klezmer scale, right?
Yeah.
So if we have the scale rooted in despair, we know that sound. So now I'm going to harmonic minor it.
Okay. That's the gypsy flavor.
Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
gypsy. Root. Awesome. Back down to gypsy.
What if I start in the fifth note? What if I root it in? I root it in sorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. 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 WAP. It's wappy. It's wap.
With that wet ass juicy.
Yeah.
That, right? Also the new Nas X song, the devil thing.
Yeah.
Same progression. So we're rooted in sorrow, but because of that
little
7, right? We're overcoming. It adds power. Adds power.
See, Trevor?
To sorrow. And
Told you he isn't fucking around, bro.
Yeah. And so it's overcoming.
He just broke down what WAP is and root motive. Come on, dude.
So it's overcoming.
You better drink that clean.
Overcoming sorrow, empowerment, using power to overcome sorrow.
Yeah.
And then hope. That's those two. Almost every Tool song and Korn song uses it also.
And you were saying something about
WAP. So really quick, WAP, like modern trap type music, is Korn and Tool musically. Same
pentatonic.
shit. No,
I thought that was the pentatonic. It's just straight. To me, it sounds like gypsy.
Yeah, but watch this. Imagine distortion.
Okay. Yeah.
Or wait. Some Nirvana.
Yeah.
So they're essentially playing this like 90s grunge style, just with completely different instruments.
So
that's what's going on in pop music right now.
Okay, so and just heavy synths.
Heavy synths rooted in empowerment.
Where do you think it's going? Just if you had to predict it on, if you were you're a stockbroker and you're a music root motive broker,
right?
And you got to predict where root motive theory is going to go. Where is it? Where do you feel like it's twisting?
Like, yeah. So like, how are we manipulating each other is essentially what you're asking, right?
Sam.
How are we manipulating with music? Because pop punk, right? It's
I don't want to go to school, Mom. Yeah. I don't want to ride my bike today. Yeah.
Right? That's still just love, hope, and power.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going back. I don't.
No.
Which is a bummer. We have maybe like there's little things like, remember bluegrass was like a thing for a minute?
Yeah.
There were popular bluegrass songs.
Yeah.
So I think there will be nostalgic things or like special little moments. But I think we just continue removing notes.
What? Like regressing?
Yeah. I think that's what's happening.
Let's go back in time with root motive theory.
Yeah.
Let's go to the very beginning. You were saying to me when you first showed me this.
Yeah.
So it all started with the caveman and but then you're like, so
with birds is what it started with.
And then you were
birds.
like, and now it's blues. It's 3 chords. Okay. Three, right?
Yeah.
And then it was 4. And then it was 5.
Yeah.
And then it was 7. And then I was like, what about this band? What about this band?
Yeah.
You're like, they're in pentatonic.
Yeah.
They do a lot of 5, then 7, then chromatic.
Yeah. So chromatic is interesting because
in Star Trek,
a lot of trap music.
in Star Trek, they're very chromatic with their scales.
Yes.
In the future.
A lot of trap music is chromatic.
Okay.
A lot of math metal. A lot of more modern types of metal, chromatic, meaning they're not finding a scale. They are not in the major scale. And you got to remember, it's major as in big deal, not the opposite of minor.
Yeah.
The term minor came later when the major scale was kind of discovered and invented. It was major as in like, this is a really big deal, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
This do re mi stuff is like really going to change the world.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. It was bigger than the internet, which is like kind of hard to fathom. There was a world without do re mi fa sol la ti do.
But the music was the internet. It was the exciting entertainment thing.
Because that's how you communicated over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, still do. So I think it will be chromatic, but restricted chromatic.
Restricted chromatic.
So things like. Not so much. So unrestricted chromatic music is.
Every note that you can play. Crazy. See, that's what I hear in Star Trek. In the future, instruments like they go to another planet. Like, what's this instrument? It's like a spectroguitar harp, and it's playing very chromatic sounds.
Yeah. I think here's how chromatic scales translate emotionally. You are playing all those things that we just went over.
Yeah.
You're playing in between them. So what lies in between love and longing? What lies in between longing and sorrow? There's nothing, by the way, in between sorrow and hope.
Time.
That's an interesting thing. So and the thing about root motive is emotional. We're still discovering. I'm still learning. I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really what chromatic music sounds like to me. Is everything all at once. That's anxiety. When everything is active in the chromatic. So like this sound.
It doesn't make me feel good.
No.
It's like Primus.
Yeah. So Primus is that you have to be for me, I have to be in a place. I have to be in a certain place to enjoy the dissonance. Humans by default like harmony. Things happen to us and we start to enjoy dissonance. We like it when stuff is a little fucked.
Yeah.
And certain points. And when you're low and angry, you like it.
This
Makes you feel good because it makes you feel seen. That's really what like angry metal is. That's what music is. That's what life is. It's all about feeling seen. So when you play sad music, people who feel sad listen to it and feel validated.
You're not alone.
Yeah. And that's really the core of like what we do with everything. It's validation.
At the studio.
Yeah.
And you use this root motive theory to help it make it more clear. Because
yeah. So there's a few things that we do with it.
Well, can I just say one thing? I'm not a student, but your root motive theory helped enlighten me to many, many things that I've been using to enhance my musical experience on Earth, not only with my personal music, but with my band, The Free Creatures.
Yeah.
And I have actually used your root motive theory.
Well, because you guys play a lot in harmonic minor, so you're doing a lot of the
but we stack
the
on some
empowerment
major
stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just rewarding. But so you with this, you're never gonna. It just seems like it's in your nature to never stop. Musicking.
I don't know.
And you don't.
Sometimes I have to take breaks, and that's what video games are for.
Yeah. And
so that's the thing.
And I think that like you've pushed it into this school, which you guys have worked so hard to build, and it's pretty awesome. And you have these students. How many students do you have?
I mean, it fluctuates because students take breaks. The way we do everything is very fluid. I try to be really accommodating. Stuff's hard right now. I think it's usually around 20, like hardcore one-on-one, 30 minutes to 2 hours a week. And then there's another 20 that do weekly workshops.
Okay. And what is your website you just showed me the other day?
JoeyHelpish.com.
Can you go to JoeyHelpish.com
check
and
this
pull
out.
this up?
I've never seen a website.
So for those
like
of you at home who are interested in maybe getting, I mean, if your kid seems like they're a candidate or they'd be a good fit with this guy, his website is joeyhelpish.com. It just went up and it's very entertaining. It's very simple,
very
and clean and straightforward.
And very me.
If you wanted to inquire more or inquire about
and actually,
the school.
on the website, you can book a couple free things right now for this. Every spring we try to do that. But we also do song therapy, which is what you've done, right?
I've done song therapy.
We talk. I just try to get you to rant.
Yep.
I translate everything into words that rhyme. We pick the root motives together. Like, okay, how are you feeling? I'm feeling love. And then I just sing you a song.
Yes. And you've done that to me. And this is your website here. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, they can look to joeyhelpish.com, right?
Yeah.
And you also do podcasts, right?
Yes.
And you're very active with content creation.
Extremely, yeah.
Yeah, you're not a
fan of perfectionism, by the way. Spoiler alert.
You're very you know how to sit and talk on the mic.
Yeah.
And you're very talented, and you're using your. It's cool to see the chrysalis almost in a way.
So what's interesting about the way I built this is that I should have had a website 10,000 years ago, right? Never had a website. Even Unkle Nancy never had a website.
Look at the menu bar. Look how many things you do.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's what I decided recently. Okay. I think I've been working towards this.
Okay.
I don't need to write stuff. I hate writing. I hate editing text.
Okay.
So I built a website with almost no text. It's just buttons and me talking and explaining things to you. So if you want to scroll down, you can see all these different buttons that take you to different things. No, scroll down on the main page.
Please, Trevor. Yeah. Please. Oh, just go sideways. Maybe it's the setup we have. But we see the buttons. Anyway. We see what you do. Look at what you do.
So if you click, I guess you could click something on the menu.
Yeah.
You'll click on song therapy.
Yeah.
I will tell you a story of how we created song therapy and what the process is instead of making you read text.
Okay.
And then here's a bunch of songs that I wrote for people. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's how I do it. And once I decided to just do something the way that I enjoy doing things, which is I really enjoy sitting in front of a microphone and going and just talking. Funny thing is 4 years ago, Kirsten had to help me and coach me to do podcasting and do talking in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
Because I had such severe mic fright.
Dude.
Isn't it? It's weird. Because I am Mr. Stage. But as soon as I have recorded thousands of songs.
Yeah.
But
how many,
if I have
how many songs have you made?
I don't know anymore.
How many albums do you have?
Almost 100.
100 albums.
Yeah.
What was your Guinness Book of World Record you had?
So that was the most songs on an album, which is
at the time.
At the time, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now it's like easy to do.
Yeah.
But I made an album with 500 and something songs.
So you're a prolific songwriter.
Well, most of that stuff was improv.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous.
We had a neurolinguistic programmer on the show.
Oh, really?
Sarah Dion Brooks. That was interesting.
I'd love to talk to her.
It seems like you guys have a lot in common.
You're all,
like,
neuro things.
Yeah, neuro things.
Neuro things are really
yeah.
my stuff. I'm glad that we're going there as a society because people like me are being more accepted because we know more about the brain.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to understand you knowing that you're autistic.
Yeah, well, what I like is that we're getting away from this thing that happened to me, and it was horrible, where I was told I was just lazy, that I just didn't care, or I'm an asshole, or just many things. The thing about autism is that most of the things society shuns are autistic traits. It really hurts me. Like it's hard. So I'm trying to fight that stuff. There's plenty of reasons to not like Facebook. There's no reason to tease or make fun of Mark Zuckerberg for being robotic. Dude has autism. Knock it off. That's how I feel about that stuff. We demonize autistic traits big time. We're starting to not to. It's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
We're changing a lot. We're all in transition. There's a lot of things going on. The autistic community is blowing up. It's difficult because it's hard for us to do the things we need to do.
What is that?
That's just me.
Oh, yeah, we love it too.
It's for you.
Thanks.
We love it too.
Okay, so what was I talking about?
You were talking about autism and how...
Yeah, and so acceptance is starting to happen, and TikTok is a big deal for autism.
TikTok?
It is, yeah.
Why?
Because it has the tools for us to communicate. It's easy to do captions, and it's easy to just point a thing at your face, say something, stop, take a break, or you script, right? This kind of communicating takes more time. So I am a really good writer, but it takes me forever.
Yeah.
It takes me forever.
I feel the same way.
And editing my stuff is really hard, and I can't allow other people to edit it because I am weird the way that I word. And so I got to do it myself.
I am weird the way that I word.
Yeah, so I got to do it myself. Otherwise, they'll correct it and change a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I can't do that. So it's a very slow process. I do, however.
But you write songs every day. You write how many? You write like 10 songs a week, man.
But when I type them down, they're almost illegible. And full of typos. And most of the time lately, I just make it up.
When you're sitting in the new house that you're in Eugene, and you're looking around and you're realizing that you're in this place that you built to make a school, and you have students come in, and you're sitting and you see your racks of instruments and your gear that you figured out how to use, and the way you taught yourself how to push through the live. I mean, you were the guy that people turned to during quarantine on how to live stream from home. Yeah. Everybody was asking you.
Everybody.
Because you were the fucking guy.
Because I've been doing that forever.
By the way, Trevor, this was the guy.
Yeah.
So he was the guy during quarantine that everybody's like, how are you doing this? And like, you know, when you said
we started Morning Cup of Helpish.
Yes.
What? In the Ish, we had an online venue when things like and stuff hit the fan, and it was wonderful.
But when you sit at home and you look around and you see a beautiful lady, you see this house you're in, I mean, are you starting to feel like, I did it?
No.
No? At all?
No, I got work to do.
I know you got work to do, but do you feel solid?
I do, It's, yeah. Clearly, the way I'm responding right now, I'm having a hard time processing it.
Yeah.
Just
it's tough.
in general.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Kirsten was really helpful in like helping me change the way that I think. But I mean, when I say I'm a poor kid, like I'm saying a lot. There's a lot that happens when you live at or below the poverty line. And there's a lot that happens when you live kind of the same thing neurologically. You just constantly believe that you don't deserve anything. It's ingrained in you. It's ingrained in me. I've had to do like a lot of work to be like, okay, so I'm not a starving artist. I am a surviving artist. This is a big part of what we do in our coaching also, which is a focus on the surviving artist. I am a surviving artist. I am not starving. I am not some rock god. I am getting by. That was not possible for people like me not that long ago. I'm really fucking grateful.
Yeah.
I'm really fortunate. I don't like the word luck because fortunate means you kind of worked for it.
Yeah, I fucking hate it when people say, "Oh, don't you just feel so lucky?" I'm like, "No, I fucking worked my ass off
really
to get
hard.
here."
I've worked really hard my whole life. It's so have you. Yeah.
Sound like you. Like, honestly, I've known you really well, and you know I know you, and you know I know you know. But I have half of the shit you just told me I did not know.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of you, man.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Yes.
But honestly, dude, I'm really stoked you came in, and
Me too.
And I would love to hear. Let me put it this way. I would love to hear one of those songs that we don't get to hear anymore. That's not rooted in longing. You know.
Oh, do you want to hear?
Give me some power and love.
Do you want to hear a song that I've written in using the empathy progression?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
this song I wrote right before the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
I have played it I did for the first 6 months. I played this song every day during the pandemic, during a live stream.
Okay.
It's called Kick It Solo.
Kick It Solo?
So Kirsten and I were with Lee on Christmas.
Okay. And
Kirsten apologized for being in the corner by herself, being a weirdo alone. And Lee's response was like, "Do you know where you are? It's okay to kick it solo. We can hang out alone together."
Yeah.
So I wrote a song called Kick It Solo.
Okay.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's using the empathy progression.
Which is, very short, quickly for the people who don't remember.
So this is C, G, A minor, F, or
No Woman,
the
No Cry.
first chord, fifth chord, sixth chord, fourth chord, or love, power, despair, and hope.
Okay.
So long, hello, we can kick it with the lights down low, for we misunderstood, prefer to melt like pouring wax on wood. Wake up, good night. Sometimes middle, it just don't feel right. And if you need to know, well, we all feel the same highs and lows. And hey, 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 we ain't bothered if you don't go. Hey, 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 it's okay to kick it so low. Hey, 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 we ain't bothered if you don't go. Hey, 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 it's okay to kick it so low. Kick it so low. Somewhere out there, they want us to pretend like we don't care. And if you need some time, we can meet up further down the line. So long. Hello. We can kick it with the lights down low. For we misunderstood. Prefer to melt like pouring wax on wood. And hey, we ain't bothered if you don't go. Hey, it's okay to kick it so low. Hey, we ain't bothered if you don't go. Hey, it's okay to kick it so low.
Yeah, dude. Awesome. Every time you play a song, man, there's a part in the song where I'm like, hey. I just want to start harmonizing.
Yeah.
You make songs like that.
Yeah, it's always by design.
You are a designer of sounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know if I threw you in a Geo Metro
Okay.
and said drive across the country. It's 3,500 miles. I checked out the trip
All right.
yesterday, 2 days ago. 3,500 miles in a small Geo Metro, and it's going to take you to the tip of Florida. There, you will encounter a small mid-sized venue with great sound, all cordial cables. Shout out Cordial Cable USA. And then there, you will be able to watch any 3 acts of any time ever who ever played in their prime or however you want them to be. And you get to choose a opener, a main support, and a headliner. I would love to know who Unkle Nancy would drive 3,500 miles, Joey Helpish, 3,500 miles to go see play.
The opener is Daniel Johnson.
Daniel Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
That man changed my life in such a big way. I want to start an evening with him shaking and badly singing. He was smiling through his own personal hell. Spent his last dime in a wishing well. And he was hoping too close, and then he fell. Now he's Casper, the friendly ghost. So that man, we lost him, I think almost 2 years ago. Greatest songwriter of all time, man. Yeah. So that, in the middle, I like to see Floater.
Floater.
Yeah.
Like 90s? Circa 90s to like late 90s.
Late 90s.
Like,
What will you do when, what will they say when you're gone that you conquered? That you burn like a rocket from the womb to the world. You ran with your colors and your flags unfurled, and you ignited everything like a gasoline rain. Will they say you are insane? While the life was trained.
boom. And then for your grand finale, big skiddly ding.
Yeah.
Just boom. Epic.
It's really difficult because what I instinctively want to do is build my own supergroup.
I know you do, but you can't. That's not the game of the Geo Metro Time Machine.
But I cannot do that.
You don't get to do that. You don't get to change it.
But here's the deal: is that there is a man that I would trust. I would put into the time machine all my Artron energy and think intention thoughts that Tom Waits would build a band.
Okay.
With basically a member of every Northwest group that I love. Right?
With Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that he would invite Sand People, or at least Simple.
Okay.
And Sapien.
Okay.
Tom Waits and Sand People are very close. So I would wish and hope with all my Artron energy, manipulating the time streams.
Okay.
With intention. quantum physics
like
style.
Doctor Who shit going on here. Okay.
That
Gotcha.
it would be Tom Waits
Uh-huh.
with Sand People joining him on stage and rapping
Wow.
over Tom Waits. Rapping over. You want to hear what it sounds like?
Sure.
Because you've heard this song.
Okay.
I'm going to do a cover of Sand People
Oh.
in Tom Waits fashion.
Okay. Is this Go to Your Room?
Yep.
Aha, we're ending with this one. We're going to take it home with this one, okay?
Yeah.
Sound good? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Helpish, Unkle Nancy, Joey Stewart, Dandyland Studios. Check him out. Check out his website.
So many things.
Thank you for coming in, brother. It was a pleasure to have you. Take it home for us.
Listen, little girl, the stereo is speaking. Go fall in love without a marital agreement. But watch who you cheat with. The bearer full of secrets can lead you to a path of venereal diseases. Once upon a time, a man rested his eyes, and heavy sleep his missus left him that night. Well, he found out all the man had slept with his wife. Later, gave her what had threatened his life? See, she was irresponsible. Affected the husband like dominoes. Now the woman that he loves, she's in the hospital, crying because she's dying of a common cold. Well, years have passed. He's coming up on 30. He wants to start over, but he must not hurry. Mentally, he's just not sturdy. He thinks every woman he touches is dirty and untrustworthy. Well, everybody talk, life's just not fair. They tried to walk around if I was just not there. It's a little easier for you to just not care. So go to your room and think about how you got there. Everybody talk, life's just not fair. They tried to walk around if I was just not there. It's a little easier for you to just not care. So go to your room and think about how you got there. Go to your room and think about how you got there. I once met a man, he changed my outlook on life. He said, son, all material things will bring you a strife. Spent his nights underneath a roof of your belt, out of some old driftwood and some pieces of kelp. You know, at night he knelt on his knees and he'd pray, thanking God for letting him live another day. And oftentimes he'd just smile and he'd say, life is a better experience, throw your greed away. But then one day, I came to visit, he was gone. Right away, I had the feeling something's wrong. What, no goodbye? How strange, found his corpse on the beach with a needle in his vein. 'Cause when your baby is trash, all that you attract is maggots and rats. 'Cause when your baby is trash, all that you attract is maggots and rats. Everybody talk, life's just not fair. They tried to walk around and find what's
Not there.
it's a little easier for you to just not care. So go to your room and think about how you got there. Everybody talk, life's just not fair. They tried to walk around and find what's just not there. Well, it's a little easier for you to just not care. Go to your room and think about how you got there. You so out of order, you don't know your borders, like a hunchback dunce cap, nose in the corner. Said you so out of order, you don't know your borders, like a hunchback dunce cap, nose in the corner. Said you so out of order, you don't know your borders, hunchback nose in the corner. You so out of order, you don't know your borders, hunchback dunce cap, nose in the corner. Said everybody talk, life's just not fair. Try to walk around and find what's just not there. It's a little easier for you to just not care. Go to your room and think about how you got there. Everybody talk like just not fair. Try to walk around and find what's just not there. It's a little easier for you to just not care. So go to your room and give me a kazoo solo right now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right. Okay.
Go to your room and think about how you got there.
Unkle Nancy, y'all. Joey Stewart, Joey Helpish. Thank you for coming in the show. This has been the Deep Dive at the Hive. Thank you for going underneath water, in the submarine, learning about everything that we talked about today. Subscribe, share, like. Shout out to Hornet, the Skyway. Shout out to everybody listening to this podcast. Shout out to Hunter Blackwell for making a special appearance today, giving us love. Shout out to Trev, the Hive, Joe Dinkowitz, Emily Turner, Daniel Lorian, and to your lady.
Lady Helpish.
Lady Helpish, thank you for accommodating us and guiding us through this journey. We'll see you next time. Next week, we have the weekend off. Much deserved. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Mom, I love you. Love you, Mom. All mothers out there, we love you. Check out Emily Turner's Mother's Day video she's doing. You can still get in on getting your picture in her new video. Check that out on her thing. But yeah, Mother's Day this weekend, super important. Mother Earth, mothers. And then next week we have the one and only Skylar Schoolio and the Sketchy Kids. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to seeing y'all again. And Joey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Appreciate you.
Peace.
All right. Peace, y'all.